Wine drinking people, today is Friday, the 18th of November, and time for our big Symphony of the Americas event tonight with Mr. Michel Rolland. And hey man, there may still be one or two seats left for that. But our big champagne tasting is coming up on Saturday, the 26th of November, the latest we've ever done it, because the Symphony event fell on the weekend we normally do our big champagne and sparkling wine tasting. But this, if I had to pick one wine, would be my favorite type of wine in the world. That's Method Champenoise sparkling wine. What does that mean? Well, it's a very special type of wine. It's the most expensive and labor-intensive process to make a wine in the winemaking world today. And when you look at this process, it didn't just happen overnight. Some people credit, famous personalities from Champagne like Dom Perignon for inventing champagne. But champagne, like I said, was invented by a combination of people over generations of time. The current beverage that we have now in Champagne probably happened in the middle of the 18th century, where they underwent this secondary fermentation in the bottle that you're drinking out of. So let me explain it a little further. Champagne is very far north, so the grapes they grow there, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier, very hard to get them ripe. So the level of sugar in these grapes can only make a wine that's about 10.5% alcohol. And what they do after they make the base wines of these different varietals, they blend them together. This is where the art in winemaking happens. There's very few people that really understand how to blend wine together. Making wine relatively easy compared to blending it. That's why the chef de caves, the champagne winemakers, last in their job for generations, and sometimes even pass on this skill to the next generation in their family, because only 10% of people have a super sensitivity to taste and smell, and these master blenders need to have that to do their job. So a very highly skilled art. And like our winemaker this year at the Symphony, Michel Rolland, that's his greatest skill, blending these champagne chef de caves, also master blenders. And they create a product, their non-vintage brut, which is the same every year they turn it out. And usually it's not from 1 year, it's 90% from 1 year. Then a lot of houses will add in reserve wines to, like I said, make them consistent year in and year out. And a signature style like Tattinger's Brut La Francais, one of our favorite of the larger houses. Hey, we've got Louis Roederer here. I'm not showing Cristal this year. I wanted to show some unique new stuff. We don't need to taste people on Cristal to sell it, but a lot of people have never had their Blanc de Blanc, their vintage rosé, and the workhorse champagnes of the champagne houses are these non-vintage bruts. So we have a great selection of these, and hey, we're not stuck up when it comes to sparkling wine. As long as it's Method Champenoise, we will have some other examples, some cavas, some wines from Italy, from Franciacorta, all made the same way champagne is. They add the sugar and the yeast, the dosage, to these wines, so the little bubbles are made in that bottle. They age them in the cellars. Most non-vintage bruts for 3 years. By law, it's 18 months, but most of the great houses for at least 3 years. And then their vintage products, 5 years. The Tête de Cuvées, 7 years. It takes a long time to make great champagne. We say there's a lot of money sleeping underground there. And you got to touch the bottle multiple times. It's not just they put it in there and cork it. They got to use 2 corks. Although they use little crown capsules today to make it a little easier in champagne. They have made this process so you can mass produce champagne now. And to me, it's one of the few beverages that you can mass produce and still turn into wine at a very high level of quality. So check it out. We've got 50 examples of the greatest sparkling wines on this planet on the table this evening, and Tony's got a delicious tasting menu to go with them. This is Saturday the 26th, our annual champagne and sparkling wine tasting under the stars here at the Wine Watch. I'm your host, Andrew Lamposoni, signing off, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.